Hello, it's Thursday. I'm your Thursday sub for the Pagan Perspective. I was asked to fill in last minute, as is what happens with subs. The topic this week, or the subject of the videos this week, is for the main hosts, the regulars, to go back through subs topics from this year. Obviously I'm a sub, so I've done those already. I've also done a number of regular week videos. So if it's okay, because I was having a look through the topics that were left, I thought I'd talk about just a bit about what it's like for me being openly pagan and what that means for me. For a start, obviously things like, I don't know, let's start with the aesthetic, what things kind of look like to other people. So obviously I like to work with wood, natural materials, have bonfires, gardening, all that kind of stuff, the kind of the hands-on, this is what this person is doing. Just generally day-to-day stuff. That's all normal stuff. I feel that working with natural materials, working land, raising plants, all those kinds of things do feed into my paganism. I definitely have a very fundamental relationship with the land and what comes out of it, I feel. And then there are things like that are seen on a day-to-day basis. So my tattoos, your Viking tattoos, some kind of more Celtic type designs up the top. They're things I feel very strongly about, but they're also things that are popular. They're fashionable within certain sectors of society at the moment. So decorating yourself as a Viking or in a pagan-y kind of way, it's not really that big of a deal. Just like for God knows how long, God knows how long, people have collected skulls and had kind of weird kind of skull jewellery and satanic tattoos and all that kind of stuff. Tarot cards are mainstream, fortune telling, mind readers, palm readers, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of being pagan that isn't actually, from my perspective, funnily enough, isn't that strange, isn't that odd for people. Now, if someone comes into my living room, at the moment I've got the Obod Bardic course sitting on my coffee table. That's a sign of something slightly further. I've got some large bay windows. In fact, I'll put a picture up now. Large bay windows at the front of my house, probably looking at it, I don't know, 8 feet wide, 2 foot deep. You've got a picture up. I use it as my altar, so I've got candles, kind of a shelf that I made in the back to store homemade incense and oils. I've got things that I've picked up from the land, so kind of interesting pieces of wood, a small kind of sprig from an oak tree from a couple of years back, my mortar and pestle because it's made of stone. My PlayStation controller, for some reason, I do need to keep it tidy. Towards the left side, I've got a focus that I've had for a long time, which is kind of like my Norse kind of leaning side to my paganism. And on the right, I'm still working on more of a kind of a Celtic / Druidic type kind of collection of things. There's obviously a lot of overlap. That's just how I've decided to arrange it now. It's mostly kind of dedicated to Earth. I've got a little statue of Odin. I've got my monstrous one year, not even a year old, oak sapling. He's called Goliath. I figured that was pretty nice for my druid side. I think I'll be buried under this tree one day. But yeah, the altar is a large thing. It's not missable. I don't have net curtains because I like having light come into my house, so people see it from the outside. It's not something that I'm hiding, that I'm pagan. Now, it is something that people don't always get. They think it's you're just pissing about and that you're not serious for the most part. The idea of worshipping nature. I don't even know why I did air quotes. Worshipping nature, that's what I see it as being. Should be, I mean, there was a fantastic Facebook meme. Worshipping nature shouldn't be seen as a hippie thing, it should be seen as a survival thing. I love nature. I do worship nature in many different ways. And the idea of it being a silly thing or a tree hugger thing, or I've not hugged a tree in days at this point, so but it's definitely something that it takes a proper conversation, I think, to get across the seriousness or the conviction that is behind some of the things that I might say or say that I feel, for example. I know that my parents think it's almost just like playing dress up, like it's a cosplay thing or a LARP thing. And although my mum will take the mick slightly, oh, you're a tree hugger now, are you, and things like that. But tell your nan about how you hug the trees. My family takes the mick anyway. We all make fun of each other for all sorts of things. I think I came back at her for something about her joints not working or going blind. It's one of those two. It's a dark humour family. With my friends, I think I mostly had the reaction of, oh, you're trying to get a pagan girlfriend, you want a witchy girlfriend. Because obviously any woman who's part of any subculture is obviously constantly up for it. That seems to be the gamer girls, goth girls, it seems to be a thing, doesn't it? Or maybe that's just a reflection of men in our society, I don't know. Yeah, and then obviously with students, I'm a substitute teacher, a supply teacher. And when I was describing myself as atheistic or non-theistic, not believing in anything, it's something that I could relatively easily say. If asked now, what do you believe in, I might say nature. I wouldn't use the P word because it could obviously be misinterpreted. Twice I was working in a convent school recently. There's posters of Jesus and quotes from David, and there's a lot of Christian stuff around. I'm not going to start using the P word there. It's definitely... I don't find it difficult. Now obviously some of our fellow Pagan Perspective hosts are in the States, where it's definitely a much more Christian country. I mean, the UK is a Christian country. We've got a church. Well, England at least has got a church. Is it a Church of Scotland as well? Either way, our head of state is the head of a church. So even if we're not a country of Christians, we are a Christian country. And yet, we're not really that Christian. Whereas, obviously, in the States, there's supposedly a separation of church and state, I think. I could be wrong on that. But regardless, it is definitely a more Christian country. So, obviously, things I can gather would be different over there. I've seen many posts online on Facebook forums, Druidry, Paganism, Heathenism, where people are talking about parents kind of disowning them or telling them they have to stop believing in this, that and the other, or people kind of having their job prospects limited due to saying that they're a pagan or a heathen or something along those lines. Anything that's, shall we say, non-standard or pre-Christian. Anything that's a pre-Christian European religion seems to be seen with a lot of disdain. And then you've got things in the media that don't help. I mean, obviously you've got things like, I don't know, Harry Potter, for example. A lot of the pagans I'm friends with are big fans of Harry Potter. So if they then go out and they're, I don't know, wearing a Harry Potter shirt or something, or they're seen reading a Harry Potter book by people who know that they're pagan, that kind of trivialises it a little bit, I think, in people's eyes. But then it's still, we're seen as harmless. And then you get things like, there were stories in some newspapers recently in the UK where essentially neo-Nazis were within, I'm not going to try and go into specifics because I don't 100% know the details, but it's a fact that neo-Nazis have been supposedly trying to reclaim ancient pagan sites in the UK, so scratching swastikas into stones on ancient sites and vandalising them with that kind of a thing, and that's obviously awful. And the newspapers don't even try to make a distinction that actually kind of Odinists are a very tiny subsection of pagans, and also that they're not actually associated in any way historically with these sites. They're just twats going out to vandalise something. So Odinists are a massive minority, and then the neo-Nazis are a massive minority within those. They just say neo-Nazis within pagan groups such as blah blah blah. Painting with a wide brush, or at least not making any attempts to be more specific, be more focused. Probably doesn't help in the areas of society where maybe it's not so obvious, or it's people aren't so not unconcerned. But yeah, personally, I've not found it that hard. Like I said, I've got the altar in my living room, on show, out in the open. I don't make any attempts to hide the fact that I'm pagan. I'm not vegan, so it doesn't pop up into every conversation that I'm pagan, like it would be with vegans. Apologies for anyone who's vegan, but it's a joke. I'll jump on that bandwagon. But yeah. So there's me being pagan, I suppose. I'd probably say I'm more secretive about making these videos than I'm about being pagan. Then that's a thing, isn't it? Kind of, there's a thing. I like making videos for YouTube, but then is it vain to be filming myself talking into the void? Please comment below. But yeah, I like filming here. I might film here in the future. This is a nice chair. It's my chair, it's my house, but too many videos upstairs in my office. I like seeing my altar while I'm doing this. Huh. Anyway, that was a long video, I apologise. So yeah, that's this week's sub video. Kind of touching on topics a little bit, kind of about sharing your paganism with other people and things that we've had earlier in the year. And the next 2 weeks, I believe, are subs weeks, both of them. So you'll see me the next 2 Thursdays. Yes, I believe so. So, have a good Thursday, have a good weekend, and blessed be.